3,082,907. That's how many shots they fired today. A 21-gun salute for every lost soldier, spacer, Marine, and guard. A 21-gun salute for my father. I could see it all from our apartment window, the one with the view of Remembrance Fields that Mom used to say was worth the extra rent. Now I'm not so sure. The window's open, and the sound of each volley still echoes in my chest like I'm hollow inside. Maybe I am. They look like stars, don't they? I say to Ellie, my 8-year-old sister who hasn't stopped crying since they officially notified us. Today she's quieter, her sobs reduced to hiccuping breaths that shake her small shoulders. What does? She asks, her voice raspy from all the crying. The quantum spurs in the field. They catch the light like stars. She presses her face against the glass, her breath fogging a small circle. Daddy doesn't get one. He wasn't a knight. No, I agree, feeling the familiar ache. Colonial Marines get the flame markers. See them? At the edge? The eternal flames. There are fewer of those, but each one represents 20 Marines. Dad's flame represents him and 19 others who didn't come home from Operation Blitzkrieg. Sergeant Matthew Lynch, 31st Colonial Marines, attached to Penetrator Team 9, officially listed as Combat Loss Forge Interior. That's all we know. That's all we'll ever know. 146,807 souls. That number keeps repeating in my head as Supreme Commander Blackwell's amplified voice drifts up from the ceremony. I can see him at the podium, his uniform a stark contrast against the gray sky that's beginning to clear. "Ethan," Mom calls from the kitchen, her voice fragile like it might shatter if she speaks too loudly. "Lunch is ready, bring your sister." "In a minute," I call back, not taking my eyes off the ceremony. The knights are there, on the platform, the ones who made it to the central node, the ones who ended it all. Colonel Caldwell and his team, standing with perfect military posture despite their visible injuries. I've watched every news report, read every article, absorbed every detail about what happened at the forge. 3,082,907 shots fired in salute today, and none of them bring back my father. None of them fill the void his absence has left. "I don't want lunch," Ellie whispers, wiping her nose on her sleeve. "I want Daddy." I put my arm around her shoulders. "I know, Elle, me too." Down below they're reading the names. Not all 146,807, that would take days, but representatives from each unit, each ship, each penetration team. I don't know if they'll read Dad's name, but I listen for it anyway, ears straining to catch each syllable carried up on the breeze. Ellie presses something into my hand. It's Dad's Colonial Marine patch, the one from his first uniform that he kept in his dresser drawer. "Mom gave it to me, but I want you to have it," she says. My throat tightens as I run my thumb over the worn embroidery. "Thanks, Elle, but you should keep it," she shakes her head stubbornly. "You're gonna need it more for when you become a knight." The words hit me like a physical blow. I haven't told anyone about that thought, the one that's been growing in my mind since we got the news. The impossible, crazy thought that I could somehow follow in the footsteps of the warriors who avenged my father. "What are you talking about?" I ask, trying to sound casual. Ellie gives me a look that's too knowing for her 8 years. "I heard you. Talking to your terminal, asking about Knight Academy requirements. You want to be like them." She points to the platform where Caldwell stands. "Like the ones who won." I can't deny it. Ever since the news broke about what happened at the forge, how a handful of knights had pushed through to the central node and destroyed the machine intelligence that had threatened humanity for centuries, something has been building inside me. A sense of purpose where there was only emptiness. "They saved us, Elle," I say quietly. "They saved everyone. Dad died helping them do that." "But they lived and Daddy didn't." Her voice rises with sudden anger, tears welling up again. "It's not fair." "No," I agree, pulling her close. "It's not fair." Down below, Supreme Commander Blackwell is announcing something called the Frontier Development Authority. His words drift up: sustainability, cooperation, thoughtful expansion. It sounds important, but all I can think about is Dad, who will never see whatever future the commander is describing. 3,082,907 shots. My brain keeps circling back to that number. I calculated it during the ceremony, multiplying the 21-gun salute by the official casualty count. The sound is still reverberating inside my skull, inside my chest. "Ethan!" "Ellie, your food is getting cold," Mom calls again, her voice edged with the fragile tension that's become normal in our home. She's trying so hard to maintain routines, to keep us grounded when everything has changed. "Coming," I reply, but I don't move yet. I can't tear my eyes away from the ceremony, from the field of quantum spurs glinting in the emerging sunlight, from the knights who stand on the platform, survivors of the most desperate mission in human history. "You know Dad wouldn't want you to become a knight," Ellie says after a moment, her voice small. "To be scared for you." She's right, of course. Dad had been proud of his service as a colonial Marine, but he'd always talked about me going to university, becoming an engineer or a doctor, something safe, something with a future. "I know," I admit, "but everything's different now. Because of the 146,807, she asks, using the number she's heard repeated throughout the ceremony. "Yeah," I nod, surprised she's been counting too. "Because of them. Because of Dad." Mom appears in the doorway, her face drawn with exhaustion. "Please come eat," she says, and I can hear what she doesn't say. "I can't lose you too. I need you here. I need you safe." I take Ellie's hand and guide her away from the window, but I can't help glancing back one more time. The knights are leaving the platform now, moving through the crowd with an easy grace that seems untouchable, distant as the stars. "We should go down," I suggest. "After lunch, pay our respects properly." Mom's face softens. "I think that would be good, for all of us." As we sit at the table, the apartment feels too quiet, too empty. Dad's chair remains unoccupied, a physical reminder of the void he's left. I pick at my food, not really tasting it, my mind still fixed on the ceremony, on the knights, on the future. "They're sending us his effects," Mom says quietly. "What they could recover. It should arrive next week." Ellie starts crying again, silent tears tracking down her cheeks. I reach across the table and squeeze her hand. "Did you know," I tell her, trying to distract her, "that the Knight's quantum spurs remember? They have these quantum matrices that store experiences, memories. That's how they pass down their knowledge from one generation to the next." "Like ghosts?" Ellie asks, momentarily distracted from her grief. "Not exactly. More like echoes. Guidance. I'm not explaining it well, but the concept fascinates me. The idea that something of you lives on, continues to protect, to teach, to guide." Mom is watching me with a worried expression. She knows me too well, can see where my thoughts are trending. "Ethan," she begins, but I cut her off. "I'm not deciding anything now," I assure her. "It's just I need to understand. I need to know what Dad was part of." She nods, though her eyes remain troubled. "I know, sweetheart. I know." After lunch, we make our way down to Remembrance Fields. The main ceremony has concluded, but people still mill about, paying respects, leaving tokens at the memorials. The quantum spurs create a mesmerizing pattern across the field, each one casting a small pool of light as the sun continues to break through the clouds. 3,082,907 shots fired in salute, and here we stand among the symbols of that sacrifice. Ellie clutches Mom's hand tightly as we navigate through the crowd, making our way toward the section dedicated to the Colonial Marines. I spot him before I realize who he is, a young man in a cadet uniform, standing before one of the quantum spurs with solemn reverence. It takes me a moment to place him from the news reports. Miguel Santiago, son of Marshal Santiago, who died on Proxima Viridian 4. He's older than me, but not by much, and he carries a sword at his side, his mother's blade, according to the reports. I find myself staring, wondering what it feels like to hold that weapon. To know that your parents' experiences, their knowledge, their very essence in some way lives on within it. Colonial Marines don't have quantum matrices in their gear. Dad left nothing but memories, holo recordings, and the patch Ellie tried to give me. We reached the Marine Memorial, an eternal flame burning at the center of a circular monument listing the names of the fallen. Dad's is there, etched in the smooth black stone. Lynch, Matthew E., SGT 31, Stay Colmar. Penetrator Team 9. Ellie reaches out to trace the letters with her small fingers. "Is Daddy really in there?" she asks, pointing to the flame. "No, honey," Mom says gently. "That's just a symbol to honor him and all the other brave Marines. Daddy is—" She falters, unsure how to continue. "Dad is everywhere now," I finish for her. "In the stars we can see from our window, in the worlds that are safe because of what he helped do, in us." Mom gives me a grateful look, her eyes shining with tears. Ellie seems to accept this, nodding seriously as she continues to trace Dad's name. As we stand there in silence, I notice a small group approaching, the knights from the ceremony making their way through the memorial, stopping to acknowledge the different service branches represented. Colonel Caldwell leads them, his posture military perfect despite visible injuries. They pause at the Marine Memorial, each offering a formal salute that seems to carry more weight, more meaning than the standard military gesture. They're about to move on when Caldwell notices us, or more specifically, notices Ellie, with her hand on Dad's name. He approaches slowly, respectfully, his team hanging back to give us space. "Your father served with honor," he says simply, looking at each of us in turn. "Penetrator Team 9. I say, finding my voice. They reached their secondary objective. A flash of recognition crosses the colonel's face. "At severe cost," he acknowledges. "We received their transmission during our advance. Their sacrifice was not in vain. 146,807 souls. My father just one among them. Yet something about Caldwell's words, the simple dignity with which he delivers them, makes Dad's sacrifice seem individual, personal, significant. "I want to be a knight," I blurt out before I can stop myself. Mom inhales sharply beside me and Ellie's grip on her hand tightens. Caldwell studies me for a moment, his gaze neither encouraging nor discouraging. "Why?" he asks simply. It's not the response I expected. I fumble for words. Because you made a difference. You changed everything. You saved us all." "We didn't do it alone," he replies, gesturing to the memorial field around us. "Every person represented here was essential to the mission, including your father." He glances at my mother, reading her concern. "The academy will still be there in a few years," he adds. "Take time to honor your father's memory by living the life he wanted for you. The knights will welcome you if and when the time is right." Before I can respond, he offers another formal salute, to us, to our family, and rejoins his team. They continue their circuit of the memorial, acknowledging the contributions of every service branch. "He's right," Mom says softly, putting her arm around my shoulders. "There's time, Ethan. There's no rush." I nod, but my eyes follow the knights as they move through the memorial. There's something about them, about what they represent, not just power or skill, but purpose, direction, a way to make meaning from loss. 3,082,907 shots fired today, 146,807 souls lost to secure humanity's future. One father who won't come home. As we leave the memorial, I look back at the field of quantum spurs, glinting like stars in the afternoon sun. Some voids can never be filled, some losses never made right, but perhaps they can be given meaning, purpose, direction. "Come on," I say to Ellie, taking her hand. "Let's go home. For now, that's enough. The knights, the academy, the future. They'll all still be there tomorrow, and the day after, and the day after that. Dad would want us to take our time, to heal, to find our path without rushing, but as we walk away from Remembrance Fields, I can still feel the weight of Caldwell's gaze, the simple dignity of his acknowledgement. One day, perhaps, I'll earn the right to wear quantum spurs of my own, to leave trails of blue fire across the stars. One day, perhaps, I'll help ensure that no other family has to count the cost the way we've had to. 3,082,907 shots fired in salute for 146,807 souls, including my father, who wanted nothing more than for his children to touch the stars. Thank you for listening to this Texan night story. I'm sorry to hit you all with such an emotional account, but at the same time, this is one of the realities of war. It isn't all glory. There is always suffering involved, too. As always, please be sure to give this video a like. Comment your own experiences as well with this kind of loss. Share this story if you feel so inclined. And please subscribe if you like to see a wide variety of science fiction stories that, like this one, cover the whole gambit of human existence.